How's it going, everybody? It's me, Shane. I'm here to give you another review of Rurouni Kenshin 2023, and it's episode 2, Tokyo Samurai Yahiko Myojin. Before I go any further, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified of more videos just like this one. I gotta tell y'all, if you can call it hype if you want, I have completely bought into it. Punch my ticket. I'm all in when it comes to this show, because my goodness gracious, if you didn't pay attention to my last review, told you, my favorite manga, love it to death. One of my favorite characters who has inspired other of my favorite characters. That opening song is so good. I've been listening to it. Wouldn't say nonstop, but it and the end song by Ryo, so good. So let's center it, bring it back in, and let's talk about the episode at hand. This episode is a week after the events of last week's episode. So, oh wow, that actually works out in a freaky kind of way, doesn't it? And Kaoru, she is pretty annoyed that it's been a week with the Crossroads killer, and he's been captured, and her students haven't returned. And of course, Kenshin, Mr. That I Am That It Is saying, well, it's the era of enlightenment. People just don't instantly return once they've quit something. And she is more annoyed at the fact that he looks so young, but he's 28. And I love this joke because he goes, would it make you feel better if I was over 30? No, it would. But here we are. It's so funny. She called it a con job. But here we are. We are with their relationship. Kaoru wants to practice swordsmanship, but Kenshin won't do it. And he's like, I don't feel comfortable with a wooden sword, which is very telling given the fact that he used to be a manslayer, right? So now he manslays no more. But with the Sakabato, he can't manslay. Well, if you flipped it around, he could kill somebody, but he can't manslay anymore. But since it's a metal sword, it's a steel sword, he feels much more comfortable with it. I pretty much enjoyed that distinction. And their relationship now is they're in Tokyo. She's gonna go off and practice. He's gonna go off and do shopping. She wants him to get miso, salt, and what was it, soy sauce, which he was complaining, saying it's gonna be too heavy. Hey. No complaints, right? Which I like the banter between them, because the banter, whether I paid attention to it or not, leads up to the later events of the show, such as saying, you're walking around with the sword, swords are banned, you're gonna get stopped by the police again. He's like, I'll deal with it when it happens, right? It's 2 years ago, people were wearing swords everywhere, so he's like, everybody around here doesn't even care. Look, no one cares. In the middle of Tokyo, no one gives a damn, right? And what was the other issue? Other issue is Kaoru, in her own mind, kind of looking at Kenshin, just wondering, what led him to be in a Rurouni, right? Pardon me. What led him to be in a Rurouni? Because she sees how he's interacting with people. We even see him apologize to a sumo much more taller than him, and she's just kind of looking at him and just pondering this, and he goes, you look like you have something you want to ask. And she thinks back to telling him, I don't care about where a person's past, I care about the here and now. She goes, nah, I'm good. Which I like that she stuck by her word, right? Even though she does want to know more about him, she ultimately decides to just not fall into those urges, which is pretty commendable on her end. But before all of this, he, being Kenshin, had got pickpocketed by our next main character named Yahiko Myojin. And it's funny because Kaoru instantly grabs, when Yahiko bumps him, she instantly grabs him, and everyone has like this purse pouch that has the money that they use, the circle with the square attached to it. And she said, you gotta be careful. This little guy pickpocketed you. And Kenshin's calling him kiddo. And he says, you know what? It's okay. He needs it more than I do. And puts it in his hand and says, next time, kiddo, just don't get caught. And as Kenshin walking away, and he's getting upset. He throws it at his head and says, I don't need your pity. I'm a descendant of samurais. Announces himself as Yahiko Myojin, obviously. And he's like, I only decided to pick on you because you're walking around with the sword. And Kenshin, I love this about him. He says, you know what? You're right, kiddo. Yeah, because he's mad because calling. He's like, you know what? You're right. While you do look like that of a child, your heart, I cannot defeat that heart. It's so strong. I apologize. Which this is an important part here. Because this man doesn't realize that he has changed the whole entire character just by meeting them that one time. Well, and some other things. We have this nice little subplot when Kenshin and Kaoru leave, that this man in a very nice carriage comes by and asks, where's the police station? It's General... Wait, I had to write his name because this thing is difficult to say. I don't know, right? Oh, yep, right notes. General Yamagata Arito, which should be Arito Yamagata, who was one of the revolutionaries in that war of the Meiji era. Now he is a great general. He is basically super police chief. And he's looking for Himura Batosai, because that was the person who he fought with. That's his dude. He wants to bring him into this era. Bring him into the Imperial era. And discussing with the police chief, he's talking about, oh, well, the guy was a fake. This kind of sucks that it was a fake. And he being the other police chief was even doubting the fact that, doubting the fact that he even fought the real Batosai, because they were all mumbling, oh, we got beaten by the real deal. Which, if you guys remember, in the original anime, I know I remember this, those guys came back again. But I distinctly remember him breaking the dude's hand so he can't use a sword again. So there's some differences here. And this just might actually mirror the manga much more closely now that I think about it. But I digress. While all this is going about, how do I talk about this? Let's talk about Yahiko's issues. Yahiko's issues is he's a pickpocket for the Yakuza. He owes them money this month. The one guy with the wooden blade and the pompadour, he's the jackass. He's the one that'll beat up a kid. Obviously, the other guy's just there who's like, oh. So he had to find money. And he comes across the scene where, oh man, Kaoru said, be careful with the blade. And he's surrounded by the police. And he's saying, well, I'm not going to fight you, so I'll go peacefully. But now they have sword police. Thugs, basically. Regular cops. ACAB all day. And this dude even hits one of the other officers who's like, the dude's taking out the blade. And the cop's like, hey, like, I don't think you need to do all that because we have him circled and he doesn't seem like he's going to take out his blade. And he just hits him in the face, talking about, I served in the Revolutionary War and you are a third-rate officer. This dude's goons, like, when you talk about stereotypical goons, he even has a buck-tooth rat face guy. Just your typical goons. And the townspeople are annoyed about all this because once everyone starts running forward because of the spectacle, Kaoru asks somebody what's going on. Someone with swords getting stopped. She knows it's Kenshin. And the guy with the blade who first showed up, the obvious leader, he's saying, hey, take out your blade and fight me, pansy. Little namby pansy, man. Obviously you walk around here with a blade, gotta test and see how strong you are. And I love that Kenshin just outwardly says, I don't carry a sword just to show strength. That's not the purpose of it. And he's still threatening him, and Kaoru comes up like, Kenshin. He tries to tell her, hey, she's so pure, but so stupid. Hey, stay back. Two dudes with blades slice off her ribbons. They've got blades at her neck. Well, I will slash off her kimono and humiliate her in front of all these people. And you got the townsfolk going, ACAB, literally, ACAB, buddy. And he tells the cops, all right, detain or arrest everybody. And if anyone resists, cut them up. And the Kenshin's like, all right, Once I can't stands no more. I'm going to read you word for word what Kenshin said. I gotta find this. I gotta find this. It's so wonderful. Once people meet Kenshin, how that Batosai legendary thing, how it's understandable, but then kind of a misnomer. But just give me a second. I gotta find this. I gotta find this. Oh no. Oh no, I might not have written this in here. Because when he threatens everyone, Kaoru and then the townsfolk, Kenshin takes out his blade and says, neither Miss Kaoru nor the townsfolk you will ever slash or place blade upon them. You want to fight somebody, you fight me. I'm your opponent. Meanwhile, remember I told you about General Yamagato? I'm going to say Yama. Forgot what I was going to say. Yamamoto was going to say, it was Yamagato. Talking to the other guy. The commotion. An officer comes in, bursts open the door. Hey, you knock. I'm up here doing business. Sorry, but the sword police, they're getting their butts whooped by one guy. And the general is about to ready to pack up because he wants to see his buddy, but obviously he can't see his buddy. And while the guy's describing, he's like, oh, no. And General asks, what do you mean by sword police? Well, it was created by the stupid imperialists. And here's a bit of a lesson here. I gotta talk about this. If I can find this. Here it is. So one of the higher ups as imperialists says, make this, right? All these people have their own blades. These are folks that fought during the Revolutionary War. And there's 5 types based on where they're born. There's the Satsuma, Hizen, Toza, and Choshun, who partnered with people like the Mito and Fukuoka. Hope I said that right. But they were great factions. And where is it? The Satsuma were one of the most militant military folks during that time. You see the map and they got these things. I promise one day when I get editing, I'm going to just pop that up there in front of y'all. But when General hits, he's like, imperialists and Satsuma. Okay. Funny enough, the guy who's the leader of that sword group, he's from the Satsuma. But when he describes the person who's beating their butts, he's not even really big, kind of lithe, red hair, got a cross-shaped scar. He's like, Nandato? Takes him down. That didn't have to take him down. He runs down there. And you see all these dudes on the ground. And one guy, and then Kenshin's just here with his blade. And Rat Face, I love that they say Rat Face and Doofus, one of the doofuses for last. He's like, hey, we were taking easy on you because it was just one of you, but we're going to get you. And they can tell that it's just a reverse blade sword. Even Mr. Satsuma man was bragging about the fact that it was just for defense, punk. So Ratface and Doofus both have notable sword styles. Kaoru knows them because she's a swordophile. Kenshin beats them. Main dude comes up with this sword style that everybody's like, oh, it's super and it's unbeatable. And the general goes, oh boy, you done messed up. And the chief him says, oh no, they don't know that they're fighting the real Himura Batosai. And when inside the general's head, we hear, yeah, normally that sword style pretty unbeatable, except against Hiten Mitsurugi, which is designed to beat stuff like that. And Kenshin's already fast, disappeared in the air, knocked dude out, because he's just tapping folks. And before he knocked dude out with his, I wish I had a replica blade in here, he's casually holding the blade like this, y'all. He even tells him, hey, swear to all these town folks that you're not gonna, persecute them and pass judgment against them, and I'll just come along with you. I can't do that. That's why you got your butt whooped. And the townsfolk are all for Kenshin. They're like, hey, beat they butts, man. And after he's done, the townspeople swarm him and Kaoru because he checks on her. And they're like, let's buy you a drink, man. You basically kick these ACAB, kick their butts. Hey. But Yamagata-san comes up and he says, Himura, I've been looking for you for 10 years. Bruh, 10 years? They've been looking for this man for 10 years. He was a manslayer at 18. Bruh. So, tells the police to get the crowd to disperse a little bit. And he's talking to him. Kaoru knows who this guy is. I love that I like that she is a character that knows everything. Because you don't get... Granted, this is a character from 1997. You don't get a lot of female characters that are the ones that kind of know all the stuff. Some of them are the guides, right? At least in now modern anime. But back then, you would get the female characters that don't really know much. I would say her, Botan, and Boma were kind of the ones that kind of broke that mold a little bit. Because it's either... I don't want to say backup characters, but your main female characters who play secondary to the lead usually didn't have that a lot. Now, when you have someone like the Major from Ghost in the Shell, obviously it's the Major. The Major's gonna know. Come on now. But she knows the General. Obviously, General knows Kenshin, and the General wants him to join. He's like, "Come on, bro, just take my hand." And Kensin says, I have no intent in serving honorably as someone who slays other people. And the general's genuinely confused. He's like, you killed enough people during the revolution for the revolution. He even mentioned to the chief earlier, he's like, this dude didn't like kill anybody for his own interest. He has saved a lot of dudes' lives in that war. And he only took somebody's life if he had to, which is a great distinction from what people have heard about Batosai the Manslayer, Himura Batosai, right? And when the general says, yeah, obviously there's gonna be people who don't, like you because you were the manslayer, but as in my position, Kenshin cuts them off. You're gonna force them to yield as a government official, right? Egotism is what leads guys like that, talked about the knocked out Satsuma, to do whatever they want. It wasn't for an honorable duty as a government official or for power that they took up their swords. They took up their swords so that they can create a world where people could be happy. And he's like, if you forgot that, Yamagata-san, then we're nothing but upstarts. Love that. And he gets ready to walk off. And he's like, but Himura, times have changed, man. Without the government, you can't do anything with just one sword. And Kenshin puts his hand on Kaoru's shoulder and goes, even with one sword, I can at least protect those that catch my eye. That I can. And he smiles. Kenshin's just smiling the whole time. He's like, I've never changed, neither in present nor in the past, outside of being a Hikitori and changing into a Rurouni. He's a lovely, lovely man. Meanwhile, the whole time, Yahiko's watching this, y'all. Just keep that in mind. And the chief comes in and goes, well, judging by the people's reactions, it's pretty obvious who started this. And he's like, I'll do a full investigation into this. And the general apologizes. He's like, my apologies. And chief goes, because remember, they didn't know who turned in those people before. Chief goes, it's crazy, because after that, fake Batosai, I kind of imagine that person just being evil, just an evil man. But meeting the real one, he is a lot different than what you would imagine. Yeah. Kenshin also apologizes for Kaoru's ribbon being sliced off. She looks nice with her hair down. And she's like, don't worry about it. You can pay me back you didn't go shopping, obviously, because you got stopped. You can do this. You can do laundry, blah, 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 blah. And he smiles because that's her way. And she's happy because she says, I understand a lot more about him now. Now she understands how he went from Hitokiri, which literally means person kill, Hitokiri to Rurouni. He's a guy who never took up a blade just for the sake of being strong. He is a blade. I hate to say a blade of justice because that sounds so corny, but he is a blade of justice. And as such, he inspires the people, whether for good or for bad, which he has done with Yahiko. Remember, I told you I was going somewhere with that, because in the very beginning, telling him, hey, take it, blah, 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 blah. And Yahiko is inspired because he's thinking about Kenshin from the first time he met him. Then he's thinking about when he fought the sword police on behalf of Kaoru and the townsfolk. And there's an old woman, and she dropped her purse. And Kenshin was doing his whole speech while Yahiko picked up the purse, gave it to the old woman, who thanked him. Now he's sitting by the river, smoking doobies by the river. He's sitting by the river. The Yakuza guy comes up with his lackey, and he's like, yeah, I'm done pickpocketing. I'm not doing that no more. I'm cutting my ties with the Yakuza. The dude comes up and beating the hell out of him with the wooden sword that he has. He's like, what? So what do you mean by that? It means exactly what it means. I'm not doing it no more. And you can tell that next week we're going to get a line of him going, I hate your eyes, your defiant eyes. At least that's what I remember from the original, right? And even, again, this dude is in the back standing like, man, you are really whooping a kid's ass. He's really whooping the kid's ass. That's what the episode ends. So he's like, yeah, now I'm going to have to show you what that I mean business, show you what it really means, what it really do. Next week is going to be Kasshin Ryu Reborn. I do not remember Kenshin meeting up with the General Yamagata, who he said, hey, you grew a mustache. I do not remember him meeting up with him so soon in the original. I remember we did the Yahiko thing. Then I remember meeting Sanosuke Sakura. And then I remember sometime that coming in, and that could be, a Mandela effect for me, but that's how I remember it. And I like the flow of events here. It is very natural. It's a very nice natural flow. It's like, hey, it's been a week. This is what's going on. Obviously, Kenshin is, first time we see him, he's literally washing clothes. He's earning his keep for staying at this dojo when he's not even being asked to pay. He's just being asked to help rebuild this dojo from nothing. Well, from what it used to be, from the damages of that fake Batosai. All in all, even taking my own biases out, I like the setup, right? We set up Yahiko so early. It's like, okay, this guy's been pickpocketing for so long. He's been doing this for the Yakuza. He is a descendant from samurai. And here's what's crazy. At the end, after Kenshin brings in the things that he bought, that he was tasked to get, he looks at his money. He goes, if times were different, he would have been a very fine samurai. That's the impact. He never forgets a person, and that's the type of impact. I love it. Now, you want to know what's funny? I remember he bumped into that sumo. I promise you, that sumo shows up in a filler episode in the original. I remember it. I remember it so clearly. It was him, and it was a bunch of other sumos that were trying to push him out because he's a tiny sumo compared to the other ones. I remember that distinctly. I enjoyed that episode too. So Yahiko's beginnings, you could tell he's been doing it for a while. It is so implied. It's not even handheld for you. And you see, he thought about that guy. That guy challenged his samurai pride by giving into his petty thievery to the point where he sees someone fight for justice and it's like, I can't do this. And I love that. This gets 4 out of 5. Automatic 4 out of 5. As much as my bias is there, it's not a giant fight. We didn't get more revelations, but we did get a revelation about. We hear more about Batosai the Manslayer. It's like, hey, this guy that everyone hates, who killed a lot of folks, he's actually a pretty nice dude. It's just those were the times. A revolution. A revolution indeed. 4 out of 5 for me. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comment section down below. I'm so hyped because I can't wait to get some Rurouni Kenshin merch, and I can't wait to get a Rurouni Kenshin shirt. But let me know what you think. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified of more videos like this one, guys. Please, be good, be blessed. Wash them hands, all right? Be good to yourselves, be good to others. Either way it goes, don't be a jerk. And stay safe out there, all right? Remember, there's someone out there that cares about you. So if you're feeling down, you're feeling low, reach out to someone. I promise you, There's someone that would rather talk to you today than to miss you tomorrow. All right? All right. So with that, I will see you next time. That I will.